You're most welcome for the Thursday edition of the NILE News Bulletin with me, Farish Majid. And today happens to be the 5th day into the month of December. You're most welcome from wherever you're watching us from. But before we get to give you the news bulletin in detail, let's first have a look at what's making round in the headlines. Coming up in the headlines tonight, residents living along River also are concerned over the status of the bridge. Community-based schools in refugee settlements seek for government support. And persons living with disabilities call for greater inclusion in government programs. For this and more, in the NILE News Bulletin. Welcome back. Once again, I am Farish Majid, and now to begin off with the news bulletin. Residents living along the banks of River Osu in Central Division under Rural City are living in fears as the bridge that connects them is currently in a deplorable state, making it difficult for them to move from one place to another. And this comes at a time where the bridge has been destroyed by the heavy rains witnessed recently. Take a look at the story. Community members affected by the destroyed River Osu bridge are requesting the government to come to their rescue by expediting the process to rehabilitate the structure that connects them to different places. This comes at a time where the old structure is in a dire status, characterized by broken edges, forcing the city authorities to temporarily close it to allow some repairs, as it currently poses risk to lives and property. During a recent site visit after the road committee meeting chaired by the city leaders, Kennedy Atama, a boda rider using the bridge, observes that the dire status has greatly impacted on their businesses.
Actually, it is a very difficult thing for us here as a boda man. Like if we have luggage, even now the customers itself, you see how if we are moving with the customers here, it is really very hard for us. You see how the condition, how we are trying to spread here around. So you see how we are squeezing ourselves in that place. It is even unfortunate that anytime somebody will fall in this spot.
Farida Yotaru, the Olodrisel Local Council 1 chairperson, says that the facility has already claimed lives, as she calls for quick intervention by the city leaders to avoid more dangers.
Motorbikes, they lose control, they found themselves ending up in the stream. Even photo accidents, so far 3 cases we have registered here. We have lost the 3 people who caused the accident. They have all died, and that has been the state.
Relatedly, Maurice Samuel Isodoro, a resident of Osusel, and a senior citizen called for quick intervention by the city authorities.
Our cry is let the government be very affirmative. Let the politicians take this message to the right people. We have heard of money through Dr. Deep who's need to support this program in the cities which have been recently approved by the government. Why is Arua City slow in working on the roads?
However, Arua City Town Clerk David Chasanku observed that efforts are already underway to address the crisis.
The immediate challenge is how do we fix this place, which looks to be really dangerous. You can see our borders are going over a cliff. We wanted it is also, because it was not planned in our next year budget, but this is an emergency. We want to treat this as an emergency, and as government, when it's an emergency, we look around. So we are trying to look around between the 2 divisions and see what do we do to allow people not to be risked like it is now.
His Worship Wadisam Nyakua, the mayor of Arua City, asked the residents to remain calm as plans are already in the pipeline to relocate the bridge.
But in the future, when we get some good funding, we're going to push this bridge from here to the other side so that the road is straight and the bridge will be raised.
Similarly, Honorable Tima Jackson Butili, the Arua Central Division Member of Parliament, promised to follow up ways of raising funds to work on the bridge.
I have asked for caution. I've asked them to be patient because today in our road committee meeting we resolved to mobilize local funds here as we also wait and appeal to the government, to the Office of Prime Minister, to the Disaster Minister to respond to this. We are raising money. Central Division, which is under my jurisdiction, is raising some money, which we are going to present to the council quickly. City Road Committee is raising some money. We are also appealing to the Office of the Prime Minister to raise some money the engineers of the city have come up with a budget. First of all, they did a temporary design to resolve this problem so that the community is able to access the city and the city is able to access the community.
Rivosu Bridge is a connection to different places within the city, as well as a short route to the neighboring districts of Madiokolo, Terego, and Maracha, among others. Farish Majid, West Nile TV, Nalcast.
My jurisdiction is engineers of the city problem so that the community is able to access the city and the city is able to access the community.
Rivosu Bridge is a connection to different places within the city, as well as a short route to the neighboring districts of Madiokolo, Terego, and Maracha, among others. Farish Majid, West Nile TV, Nalcast. Moving on, following the closure of this year's academic calendar recently, the community-based schools in refugee settlements in West Nile sub-region have asked government to come to their rescue so as to allow them grow, and this appeal was made during a graduation ceremony held in Pagirinya refugee settlement at Brilliant Nursery and the primary school on 4th of December. Take a look at the story.
The community-based schools in the refugee settlements in West Nile have asked the government to support the community-based schools within the settlement which are struggling. This appeal was made during a graduation ceremony held in Pagirinya refugee settlement at Brilliant Nursery and Primary School on 4th of December 2024. During his speech at the ceremony, Christopher Iriku, the head teacher Brilliant Kids Nursery and Primary School, appealed to the government, Office of the Prime Minister and United Nations High Commissioner for Refugee to support the community-based schools for better future.
So please, for the government of Uganda, for all that they have done. Since in the year 2016, they have welcomed us here as a refugee. Up to date, we are working together with them. I argue the government of Uganda to do for us a great thing. So we are called Brilliant Kid, but before the name had been Mother Elena. But now we have moved to a Brilliant Kid. We are so happy to have you people by our side. The challenges that we are facing.
Joan Jessica, a parent, stressed on the challenges they had encountered in the face of war in the neighboring South Sudan before becoming a refugee in Uganda. She, however, said through the school, their children are able to attain possible education for better transformation of their nation.
In South Sudan, the education level there is not really up to date because there are a lot of challenges we are facing. The war, the interruptions, there are other teachers who are not really well trained like these teachers here. So there are a lot of improvement. Our children really have a great understanding. I know in future there will be a better citizens when they go back to South Sudan.
Francis Bala, the managing director of Brilliant Kids Nursery and Primary School, underlined the background and stretched out initiatives as to why resources has been mobilized to cap up the challenges of education in refugee settlement.
This community school came into existence after when the refugees are facing challenges in education. The available schools put by the stakeholders could accommodate like 150 learners in a class, of which it may have no future for the refugees' children. And then I, including other refugees members, we decided to mobilize resources to establish these temporary structures so that our brothers and sisters could access quality education. So as I speak of now, the school is 4 years in existence, and today we are actually celebrating the end of this year 2024, and our enrollment has now kicked to 614.
Masidraru Onjima Allen reporting for West Nile TV, Nilecast.
Moving away from the regional stories, now looking at what's happening nationally. Persons living with disability in this country have urged government to prioritize the inclusion in national development programs, particularly in healthcare, social services, and economic initiatives. And this appeal was made during a workshop held at Imperial Royal Hotel in Kampala, organized by National Union of Disabled Persons of Uganda. And the workshop provided a platform for participants to highlight the challenges they face and propose solutions. And participants, including individuals with physical, visual, hearing, and other impairments, expressed frustration over the persistent discrimination they encounter when seeking for medical care. They pointed out that hospitals lack disability-friendly facilities, and healthcare providers often fail to offer them the attention they deserve. The high cost of medication for specific conditions, such as albinism, was another critical concern raised, and the participants noted that these drugs are either overpriced or entirely unavailable in most health facilities. David Nangosi, a representative of NUDIP, explained that the workshop was aimed at addressing the systematic challenges faced by persons with disability in Uganda, and emphasized the need for government to enhance it in its budgetary allocation, most especially towards healthcare, to the unique also to equip the persons living with disability in the country.
Persons with disabilities, PWDs, have urged the government to prioritize their inclusion in national development programs, particularly in healthcare, social services, and economic initiatives. This appeal was made during a workshop held at Imperial Royal Hotel in Kampala, organized by the National Union of Disabled Persons of Uganda. The workshop provided a platform for participants to highlight the challenges they face and propose solutions. Participants, who included individuals with physical, visual, hearing and other impairments, expressed frustration over the persistent discrimination they encounter when seeking medical care. They pointed out that hospitals lack disability-friendly facilities and healthcare providers often fail to offer the attention they deserve. The high cost of medication for specific conditions such as albinism was another critical concern raised. Participants noted that these drugs are either overpriced or entirely unavailable in most health facilities. David Nangosi, a representative of National Union of Disabled Persons of Uganda, explained that the workshop was aimed at addressing the systematic challenges faced by persons with disabilities in Uganda. He emphasized the need for the government to enhance its budgetary allocation for healthcare to cater to the unique needs of persons with disabilities. Participants also demanded a review of healthcare policies to ensure inclusivity with a focus on reducing societal stigma and discrimination. They called for subsidized or free medication for conditions affecting persons with disabilities, increased funding for disability-specific health programs, and training programs to sensitize healthcare workers on the rights and needs of persons with disabilities. As the discussion concluded, participants expressed hope that their voices will spark actionable change. Mercy Draru, West Nile TV, Nile Cast.
Alright, putting that aside and now looking at what's happening in the world of sports. We had a number of games played last night, but to start off our way with what's happening in Uganda Premier League. Today we had a game that was between Maroons Football Club and Mbarara City, which ended 3-0 in favor of Maroons. And the interesting game is coming up, that is between Urea Sports Club and NEC Football Club. Leaving that aside, looking at what's happening in the world of English Premier League. Last night we had a number of games where we did see Manchester City beating Nottingham Forest by 3-0. Newcastle United had a 3-all goal draw, that's with Liverpool Football Club. Southampton lost 5-1 in the hands of Chelsea, as Arsenal did go on to beat Manchester United by 2-0. Aston Villa also won a game, that is against Brentford, by 3-1, and we also have more games coming up today. That is where we shall be seeing Fulham taking on Brighton Sports Club, as Bournemouth will be taking on Tottenham Hotspur. That's it for the sports update. We move on.